Hey, this is Brian again, and I'd like to ask you to do a favor. We can't do this work without people like you, so if you can, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about Bring Back the Porch.
And our hope is that our efforts might in some small way positively impact the local Facebook pages and create a community that celebrates diversity and supports featured individuals. So when we learn about our neighbors and what matters to them with an open mind and curiosity, it can go a long way to create more kindness.
This episode of Bring Back the Porch brought to you by Bernie Leahy, River Street Realty. Let's get you home. And on this episode of Bring Back the Porch, we are pleased to welcome from What Matters to Hatters, Taneil Zanidean and Michelle Sauve.
Thank you.
Thank you. We were talking before about how this is a perfect fit. What Matters to Hatters and Bring Back the Porch pretty much have the same goals in mind, trying to bring people in Medicine Hat together. Tell me how you got started.
Yeah, so What Matters to Hatters Coalition was formed in 2022, really after recognizing the impacts that COVID had had on our community. But really it's much before then that we started to experience social isolation and loneliness. And so What Matters to Hatters was really formed to help create that sense of connection and bringing people back together to create the sense of hope, resiliency, and connection in our community again.
Michelle, it's a coalition. Who are all the partners?
So we have the YMCA involved, we have the Viner Center involved, the City of Medicine Hat, who am I missing, Everactive?
Yeah, we have Primary Care Alberta, Recovery Alberta, which Michelle and I both represent. We also have the Connection and the Brooks and County Immigration Services.
Oh, so Brooks is involved in this too?
Yeah, so they are kind of at an arm's length.
Okay.
Our partnership with them is at an arm's length. We've done certain initiatives with them, including Culture Days in the past. So they have been the lead organizer in the soccer tournament that we've done for the past 3 years as part of Culture Days. So,
okay. How's all the funding work? Because this does cost money.
We have none.
You're like the porch.
So we rely on grants that we apply for, and we've been successful a few times with Heritage Canada for our Culture Days events. And so we do rely on, we've had a Community Foundation of Southeastern Alberta grant as well to operate our kindness campaign last year. And so we just sort of find things where we can. We are very good at doing things at no cost or low cost.
Good. No, we should talk after this is over. We'll get some tips from you.
Absolutely.
I was on your website, and I was amazed at all the things that you have listed on there. And I don't know if we're going to be able to even scratch the surface during our conversation. But I know one of the things that you wanted to talk about is a project called Humans of Medicine Hat.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So this is a new initiative that we just recently launched in February during Random Acts of Kindness Week. And so the intention of the Facebook page is what it is to profile the many diverse members of our community, including highlighting what's important to them. And so we have people from, we've highlighted a passionate knitter to a caring advocate to a physiotherapist and someone who is a parent of a transgender child. And so we're really just trying to showcase the amazing depth of people that live in Medicine Hat. And some have come to us from faraway places like Iran and India, and others are born and raised Hatters, and they all have one thing in common, and that's a story that they want to share. And so it's their own story, and they've been willing to share. So we're really, really grateful to those folks who've come forward. We do not have comments turned on our Facebook page, and that is intentional because we want this to remain a positive space. And so our inspiration actually comes from a photographer in New York, Brandon Stanton. In 2010, he actually started Humans of New York, and he intended to take 10,000 pictures of people, but he started talking to people and telling stories, and that's really where the connection and the content came from, and it was our inspiration. And so ultimately, we just want to help people to understand that everybody in Medicine Hat has a story, and they are valued for their story, and we should give them the respect that they deserve. And so, yeah, we're fairly new at this. We're trying to find more humans of Medicine Hat. We've got a couple that we'll be posting in the next couple of weeks, but lots of interest on Facebook.
And this is something that people can find on Facebook. Is there a particular address or a particular name they need to look up?
Humans of Medicine Hat.
That's real hard.
Yeah, and I just want to share that actually the page was initially started by a local photographer, Joan Kennedy, I believe is her last name, and she graciously gave us access and control of the page. So she had started, I think, during the pandemic, and she takes amazing photos and sometimes told a story, but we're really focusing on the people and the story behind why they want to be considered to be a human of Medicine Hat.
Taneil, you recently went to a Public Services Committee meeting in Medicine Hat to get moral support from the city for your work?
Yeah, I think there was definitely support there from the city. What Matters to Hatter's work is partially informed by the Community Wellbeing Plan, Momentum. So a lot of our work has actually aligned with that plan in trying to bring people together for social opportunities and to create those opportunities of connection in the community so that residents can start to feel a sense of belonging or find their niche where they might feel that greater sense of belonging.
In your work with these people, have you learned things about Medicine Hat that you didn't know?
Oh.
So it's from a third-person perspective?
Oh, absolutely. Someone that Taneil and I work quite closely with, who we'll be featuring in the next few days, is he grew up in a refugee camp in Africa. And he's spoken before. He spoke at Pechakucha, but I think when we understand where people have come from and what they've experienced and the resiliency of people, whether they are a born and raised Hatter or someone who's come to us from far away, they are all people who make up the fabric of our community. And so we really just are surprised quite regularly, actually. I just want to read, this is a quote from an article I recently wrote. And so people might wonder, why Humans of Medicine Hat? What does it have to do with kindness? And so we just say, like Humans of New York, we hope our project will shine a light on ordinary, often overlooked people, to foster empathy for people from all walks of life, including immigrants, the elderly, and the unhoused. And our hope is that our efforts might, in some small way, positively impact the local Facebook pages and create a community that celebrates diversity and supports featured individuals. So when we learn about our neighbors and what matters to them with an open mind and curiosity, it can go a long way to create more kindness in our community and foster that empathy that sometimes we miss. And I think during the pandemic, we went very internal. We were online a lot, and we saw the kind of the big growth of the keyboard warriors. Mm-hmm. And so by turning off those comments on Facebook, it helps to just leave the positive story that that person wants to share.
And that's the connection with the kindness.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It is a sad thing that social media is a good thing. It's also a bad thing, and we see the good and the bad in everybody. But like you say, once you know somebody's story, changes perspectives, changes opinions, and maybe softens hearts.
Absolutely, Brian. And the reality is we are all newcomers to this community unless you are Indigenous. And we really value and learn from the Indigenous populations here. And we've featured some of those folks as well that we know through the work we do. And I think that when we come to what we do with kindness and curiosity, we can really create a more compassionate community. And COVID showed us that we need more of that.
Now, somebody who is watching or listening to this, maybe I should get involved in this. How do they do that?
So on our website, there's actually a Humans of Medicine Hat nomination form that Taneil, in her great tech skills, created. And so they just provide their information, the person that they want to nominate. They can give a bit of detail. There's a consent form that they would share with that individual so that we know they've given permission to be nominated. And then they also send us a picture to our What Matters to Hatters email address. And it's really quite simple. If people are interested but they're not sure how to fill out the form, or they want me to do that, I'm more than happy to come out and take a photo, to do a little bit of a Q&A with them and tell the story that they want to tell. So sometimes when you said, are we surprised by things? Sometimes the stories people tell are not what we expected. And that makes it even the more interesting. So it's pretty simple. Just go to our website, whatmatterstohatters.com.
And the other thing about that too is we're also looking if people are interested in nominating themselves, they're more than welcome to do so. Or if there's a group of individuals that somebody feels like they would like to nominate, that is acceptable as well.
Okay. One of the things that my ears perked up when you said you had a passionate knitter.
Yes, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about her or him?
So they spoke at Pechakucha, and they are just someone who does knitting, little projects, and sometimes leaves them around the community. I'm thinking more in the winter. But yeah, they told their story, and so they were willing to share that with us. When Taneil mentioned groups, we actually recently featured a group called the Newcomers, who are downtown every day of the week, helping to feed people in our community. And some people think, oh, it's just the unhoused. We sometimes have some challenging attitudes around that, and I've been there 3 times now to help with those meals. I would have to say it's sort of a life-changing experience when you get to know people and understand why they are where they are. The other piece is not all of those individuals are unhoused. Some of them are lonely people who maybe don't have any social contacts, and so the Kukum's just beautifully demonstrate the whole essence of Bring Back the Porch, of what matters to Hatters, breaking bread and sharing stories and sharing kindness.
These people might be reluctant to want to share their stories because they're not out there front. Look at me. They want to just do their work and keep their head down and not get the public notoriety.
Absolutely. So the Cookums are exactly those people. They come from the Catholic Women's League. They come from some members of our Indigenous population, and they are all volunteers. It's their own money that they cook these meals, bring the supplies, set up. And so they are not there for the spotlight at all. It took a few years of a relationship and spending some time volunteering there for me to be able to convince them that it was important to tell their story.
Well, thank you to them, because I've seen them doing their work, and I hope it's not a thankless job. I hope that it is appreciated by somewhere. You talk about loneliness, social isolation. I think I don't know if it was probably there before the pandemic, but maybe the pandemic put it under a microscope and we will learn more about it. So are there other programs that you have that are helping to get people to feel like they belong in our community?
Yeah, absolutely. So the reality is that loneliness is a public health issue, and 1 in 4 Canadians say that they feel lonely frequently or always. So it is something that is experienced by most of us, if not all of us, at some point in our life. So What Matters to Hatters has lots of different opportunities to connect. We have a bi-monthly Brews and Board Games evening that we host at local coffee shops, where we bring board games and just encourage people to come out, play board games, whether you're an avid board game player or just interested in connecting with like-minded people. We have that once a month, and then the alternating months we have an event called Sips and Socials, which is a themed event, and it's just bringing people together, again, coming to make new friends and to conversate over a shared common interest. So we have different themes. We've done travel night in the past. We've done books. We've done nerd night. Nerd night. Yeah, that was our very first one that we did, and actually that was the biggest crowd that we had come out was for that night. So we've done gardening theme just recently. Our next event is coming up on May 21st, and it's to celebrate Biodiversity Day. So we'll be having lots of different organizations come there as well, a few of them being Dress Your Lashes, to talk about thrifting and how we can reuse clothing and things like that. Michelle, do you want to talk more about who else will be there?
Sure. So Roots for Fillery has offered to come, and they'll talk about reducing our plastic waste. We have reached out to Habitat for Humanity to talk about Restore and how they bring value to our community by selling and reusing old construction equipment or sell-offs that they come to access. And so we also have someone well known in our community, Martha Munsku, who will be talking about pollinator lanes and the importance of her repair cafe. So this evening is kind of an experiment. We're hoping to attract more nerds. We know nerds come out to our events. And so, if anyone has an interest in the area of protecting the environment, we would love for them to contact us, and they can do that through our website.
And the date is?
So that's May 21st, and it'll be at Hometown Culinary from 6 to 8 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, people want to volunteer. Can they help out that way too?
Absolutely. So you mentioned projects that we do or programs, and one of them that I'm very fond of is Sidewalk Talk. So Sidewalk Talk started by a psychiatrist psychologist in San Francisco, and it's been 20 some years ago. So loneliness, she had seen in her practice that people who she was counseling had no one that they felt heard by or seen by. And so she started this initiative where she just took her chair and another chair and sat on a busy sidewalk in San Francisco. And she started to get volunteers, and they literally just listen with an open heart. They don't really talk. They let the other person do the talking. And it's really an opportunity for people to feel seen and heard. And we've been doing that monthly for over a year now. I think we're coming on to 2 years. We actually got a grant from Paramount Pictures, really? Yes, in the United States, to start the initiative. So we created a sign, and we got registered with Sidewalk Talk International. So it's an international initiative. And we just set up for an hour. We bring cookies and cold water, coffee if it's cold out. And we just say, grab a cookie, have a chat. And we've got lots of volunteers who are helping us. And so it's people who are passionate about listening to other people's stories that we want to encourage to volunteer. And again, they just reach out to us through our website.
And that's a big thing. Sometimes people just want to be heard.
We all want to be heard, yeah. And when we talk about the good and the bad of social media, it's kind of an echo chamber, but it's also, we might have good connections on social media, but this is like what we're doing right now. We're with each other. We've got a warm drink or a drink, and we're talking and we're seeing each other, and that energy that we give off, our heart actually emits an electrical current, and so you can't get that from being on a screen on social media. No. So when we are out in the community, we just did one a couple of weeks ago. We met a young man who does tattooing, and he was a skateboarder, and he had a very interesting story to share. And it's probably one of the most rewarding things that we do for me, next to board game night, which is pretty amazing too.
Yeah. I think that Sidewalk Talk would help break down stereotypes and misconceptions.
Yes. So one venue that we go to that we're always so happy we attended was we do them at the hospital. And so you're either going to the hospital for something happy, like the birth of a child, or something challenging, like an injury, an illness, a surgery. And the conversations that we have there are often very raw, very open, and people weren't expecting to share what they share, but they express such relief that someone was there for them to hear them.
Let's pause for a moment so we can share some exciting news. We're proud to announce that our work here at Bring Back the Porch is getting noticed. From October to the end of January, our videos and reels viewed more than 1 million times. Some of those viewers could be your customers, so sponsoring Bring Back the Porch is a great way to get your message in front of them too. If you'd like to support our work here at Bring Back the Porch, we ask you to go to our website at bringbacktheporch.com and follow the links. Thank you for your support. Good mental health is important, and that's one of the things that we want to feature here on the porch, as well as segments about how people can protect and maintain their mental health. Anything that you can add to that, Taneil?
I just think that it's important to be aware of the impacts of loneliness, and certainly in taking care of our mental health, we want to make sure that we are connected into community and that we feel well-resourced, and that when something doesn't go the way that we expect it to, we have the skills and the connections and the ability to bounce back from that. So we're trying to help support with that in building resilience skills into people. And so through some of Michelle's and I work, we also offer some workshops in the community around sciences of hope and resilience and how to adopt a trauma-informed lens. So really recognizing that everybody has a story, and that even though we might not know that story or know parts of that story, everybody is carrying something. So it's just about having that perspective and being aware of that. So I think it's really important to be aware of our mental health and to make sure that we're connecting and we have the resources that we need to be able to do that.
You mentioned resources. That was where I was going to go next. You'd have a tab on your webpage that when you click on it, there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah. Taneil is our website aficionado, but I just want to share before she talks about resources. We also have a workshop series called Relationship Skills, and that really speaks to the work that we do through Recovery Alberta. So that is a 4-session series where we learn to listen to understand. Can you remember some of it's been a while since we've done them.
Enhancing communication is one, listening to understand, and then relationship with self, and I think the other one
Boundaries.
is boundaries, yeah.
And I bring it up, Brian, because some people who struggle with their mental health just need a little hand up to better know how to navigate relationships. And so when we talk about good mental health, people who have a diagnosis, who, maybe are struggling, can improve their mental health despite their diagnosis by coming to one of those workshops. And people who maybe are undiagnosed, or maybe they're just having, a challenging time, also would benefit from that. So we typically offer those at the library, and they're free. And we really encourage, really everybody should attend a relationship skills workshop. We all could brush up on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so on our website, it's at www.whatmatterstohatters.com. And like you said, we do have tons of resources on there. So we do have a couple articles on there, one of them being the U.S. Surgeon General's report on loneliness and social isolation, which is really where a lot of our research comes from and helps inform the work that we do. As well, on our website, we have upcoming events, so all of the things that we've talked about today are on there as well if you're looking to maybe attend an event or to come out and see what we've got going on. So, yeah, absolutely, I would encourage people to check out our website and see what we've all got going on there.
And I don't think anyone who goes to one of these has to worry about being judged.
No, and I'll just disclose this secret that we have. So Taneil and I have worked for Addiction and Mental Health, which is now Recovery Alberta, for several years, like over a decade, and longer for Taneil probably. The reality is when we present it in the community as Addiction and Mental Health, or now Recovery Alberta, people don't always feel that's a safe or comfortable place to approach. When we are out in the community as What Matters to Hatters, people are like, what is that? Well, that matters to me. And so the reality is that a lot of our challenges in our lives are things that everyone experiences, maybe to a different degree. And so that's why we approach it from that more community, individual focused lens, rather than this big organization that only helps people with addiction and mental health issues.
I'm sure that when someone finds that there are others who are sharing their same situation, their same issues, they find a kindred spirit, that helps to lead to healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that, we've had participants share that coming into events, there was one particular Sips and Socials event, I don't know, Michelle, if you remember, at Empty Nest, but there was one individual that came in and was quite nervous about being there, and Michelle certainly has a way of welcoming people and making people feel comfortable, so she showed up again at another event. So certainly I think that is the reality, is that although it might be difficult to attend some of these events, sometimes it's just about pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone a little bit and getting to that event, and oftentimes we do feel quite a bit better afterwards, and there's another resource for us in our pocket. So
is there this is not age restricted, like there's not certain ages, and I think you can go from 10 to 100, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. We would welcome anyone at our events, certainly. Yeah.
One that's coming up, I just want to share a little promo is in June, we have Loneliness Awareness Week. And we've been doing that probably 4 years now. And we can't give all of the details. Some of them are going to be revealed in the next few weeks. Of course, that's coming up very soon. It's June 15th to the 21st. But we have a sidewalk talk or two planned. We have a board game night planned that week. We also are in the works with another special project. And when we're out in the community, I think, it helps people to maybe connect with Taneil and I. One of the things that we do hope to do is have what we call, in the UK, they call them chatty tables. We're just going to say it's a table at a coffee shop and come and talk to us. And so I've done it a few times. We're going to make it a little bit more casual this time. But like Taneil said, when we just come out of our comfort zone a little bit and try things, those connections are amazing.
I'm thinking of one community in Medicine Hat that might be a little reticent or maybe not able to attend would be shut-ins, seniors, people who are, maybe their pride doesn't let them come forward. Is there a way that we can connect with them?
Yeah, certainly. Seniors are amongst one of the highest rates for experiencing social isolation and loneliness. So they've definitely been a target area that we do try to look at. And so we do have someone from the Unison at Viner Center on our coalition. And we have hosted certain events at the Viner Center to help try and engage the seniors. So we have done some sidewalk talks there. Every year we do an annual kindness campaign. And so we've been intentional about making sure that we're including the Viner Center and the Strathcona Center in those initiatives to try and get seniors out and to try and connect them more to community.
But you've given me an idea, Brian. We maybe want to train some of our Meals on Wheels folks to encourage them to become more aware of that open and empathetic listening. Not that they aren't great people. I know those volunteers.
In the past we've talked to some of the people involved with Meals on Wheels at Chat Television, and a lot of times that was the only outside contact those people have. So yeah, that's a good idea. Anything else you wanted to talk about this morning?
Well, one thing that we haven't talked about, Taneil mentioned that seniors are one of the loneliest populations. I think listeners would be surprised to know that it's actually teens and young adults that are the most lonely generation. And
most connected and disconnected at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So those sort of vague contacts through their social media platforms. But, it's not, again, that energy of sitting in a room with someone and talking with them. And so I think it's important for parents and community to know that we need to encourage our young people to get out, to connect, to be engaged in face-to-face events. We know that for a lot of young people, anxiety can be a challenge, make that a challenge, and then their busy schedules. So I think just that importance of knowing that these two populations, so our older teens, young adults, and our seniors are the people that we really need to pay attention to. Because just like all of us, we all deserve to be heard and to be seen and to feel like we belong and that we matter.
Community.
Absolutely.
Website again?
Is www.whatmatterstohatters.com.
Well, what matters to Hatters matters to all of us. Michelle Sauve and Taneil Zanidean, thank you for the visit.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, this is Brian again, and I'd like to ask you to do a favor. We can't do this work without people like you, so if you can, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about Bring Back the Porch.